That actually, like, we got through that like perfect timing.
Right?
Less than a minute. Wow, that was great.
Yeah, I was really hoping we weren't going to get cut off. That would have been really annoying. Okay, that was great. Um, okay, great. So that was really good. Let's talk for a moment about your characters. So I want to hear from you guys a little bit. Who do you think? I think it's really important that we, the viewer, gets a real sense of who these people are, and I wrote it specifically to be the kind of thing where, um, we're not giving a lot of exposition. We're kind of learning, like I said, we're kind of learning about you guys the, um, as you guys talk. We're learning about you as you learn about each other. Mm-hmm. But Jacob, what do you think Jake's dating life has been?
Personally, I don't think that he's done, not that he's not done a lot of dating outside this, but like it probably wasn't much different than it is now in quarantine. And I think that like he's maybe figured that like during quarantine he's going to get on some dating apps and it's going to be a little bit different, and it still really hasn't been that much different. But then he meets like Ashley's character and he meets Sherry, and it's kind of like it's still a little bit new to him because he hasn't done much dating, but yeah, I kind of think that's probably how he is as a character.
Do you think that he's had a serious girlfriend before?
Yes, but a while ago.
Mm-hmm. And how do you think that went?
I think she was probably the first girl that he was ever in love with, mm-hmm. and that's maybe why he hasn't dated. He's kind of still, he's not necessarily hung up on her because it's been a while, but it definitely has kind of played a part in why he may have like been a little bit more hesitant to either be in a relationship or why he just hasn't really gotten out there that much.
Yeah.
But with this quarantine, he's like, is this going to be the end of the world? I don't know. Maybe I should try to put myself out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And what do you think that he feels about his place in life right now?
I feel like he's maybe a little bit worried, mm-hmm. but I feel like he's kind of more so just like go with the flow. Like all this kind of happening is just, I mean, it's not like, whatever, but like, he's just kind of like, okay, it's happening. Just going to try to deal with it and kind of go with it and see how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Very good. And Ashley, what do you think Sherry's life is like on a day-to-day basis?
I think Sherry is basically a workaholic. She works obviously a lot. And when it comes to dating, unlike, Jake, because I kind of just, in my mind, I figured that like Jake probably hasn't like dated in a while, but for Sherry, I feel like this is what she does. She's trying to find love because her life is so about work. So she's trying to find like that person. So she's been on the online dating apps. That's why she likes it. She's comfortable with it. Kind of, she said, I kind of like this way of dating because it takes the pressure off, and it's still in a way her job is still getting in the way of it. Even when if she was able to date people, actually meet them out, her job was still getting in the way. I just, in my mind, I figured that she was always having to call off dates or running late to the dates, like, because she was never on time because of her job is so demanding. And I think that with this whole dating with meeting Jake, with his personality and how he's more laid back and going with the flow, is just kind of helping her to like let go and like, and release, because she's obviously, she washes her hand every hour and she lives in a house by herself. She's like, oh my God, over the top. But Jake is more of like that balance that she needs,
Yeah.
even with the whole thing of, you know, when she was telling him about her grandmother, and she just automatically just thought that because he, you know, she just went over the deep end. He's like, I don't know how to deal with this stuff, but she just, yeah. So that's where I am with Sherry as far as the character development. That's what I see for her.
Yeah.
You know, she wants to find love, and she's going to, regardless if it's on an app, if she met someone on the app, is on Zoom, that's her goal, because it's like a balancing from her, all of her extra stuff she has to go on with her work and her job. So.
Do you think that she wants to be a producer?
No, I don't think she wants to be that, because like she mentioned, she said that, you know, it's funny that is her job, because she never really watched, you know, movies coming up. I think this is just like, it's something that she's doing just
for now.
I don't know. You know, I haven't, like, as far as that part, like I could do a little bit more digging deep for that, you know, a little more backstory as far as like if she wants to be a producer or not. Or what it is that she actually wants to do, because that is a great question. Like, is she going through this being an assistant because she wants to be a producer, or is it something that she's doing because, you know, just being a producer in the state where she lives in LA is like a good thing, something that's gonna, you know, put her up higher. So, you know, that's a good thing. I write that down. That's something I definitely need to do a backstory on for that.
Yeah, it's an interesting question, because I know people who, you know, are in those kinds of positions who want to work their way up, and then other people are just kind of like, well, I just kind of fell into this. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of doing it for now.
Right.
You know, Sherry seems to me like somebody, like you said, like she's a workaholic, mm-hmm. but I wonder, even, you know, as the writer, I just wonder, is this something that she's willing to, you know, I say die for, but I mean that kind of like exaggeratedly. Like, how much is she willing to give to this job, and how much is she kind of like a little sick of it and a little like wanting something else? That's just something to, I think about.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I think, Jacob, one of the things that is really great, that, you know, you as a person have this kind of like natural confidence in in the way you present yourself, you know.
That's interesting.
Whether it's an ease or just the way that you kind of present yourself, you're very easy to be with and talk to. And I think that that's important. And I also wonder, for the character of Jake, you know, he is that way too. But I think for both of you, there's a question that you should kind of keep in mind, and whether you know the answer or whether you tell me the answer, it's up to you. It's entirely up to you. But the question you should keep in mind is, what don't you want people to find out about you? Like, what are you really terrified that people are going to find out about you in life? I think that's a really important question to keep in mind, because I think that that's something that we all have. I know I do.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And the reason that I ask that is because I think that whatever that thing is comes out in the grandma scene.
Mm.
You know, some people talk about, some actors I've heard talk about, like, you know, every character should have a secret, whether it's stated in the script or not. And I always thought that was really interesting. But I think for these two people, you're welcome to have that as well. But I think for these two people, for these two characters, this question of like, what are you terrified people are going to find out about you is really important. And let me say one more thing about that, because, for me, it's not always a conscious thing. In fact, 99% of the time it's not. But it's just something that like I decided as a, 7 or 8 year old, when the other boys told me they didn't want me to come over to their house or whatever, or didn't want me to join them for a sleepover or whatever it was, that I wasn't good enough. Mm-hmm. And so that lives in, my head sometimes, in my interactions with people, sometimes with other guys, if I think they're more accomplished than me or more successful or smarter or they know more or they're cooler, anything. It could come out in all kinds of different ways, and it can come out, that fear can come out in what I share about myself, what I don't share about myself. You know how sometimes we tend to like lie for no reason, not like big lies, but when people are like, hey, did you love Wu-Tang's latest album? And you're like, yeah, it was awesome, and you just kind of say things like that to go with the flow in the conversation.
Yeah.
Because to admit that you don't know, or, for me, just not speaking hypothetically, for me, it's always stuff around like finances and houses and mortgages and, all this kind of like adult stuff. I've always like rented a house, and, my wife and I are talking about buying a house when this all, goes away. And I have to sometimes really force myself, because sometimes people will be talking to me and I'll be like, mm-hmm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Without really asking the questions and finding out. And so that's just a way that fear kind of, that's just an example of the way that kind of plays in my life. So that's just something to keep in mind for you guys.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that I'm going to focus on.
Yeah.
Like figuring out.
Because it almost goes hand in hand with, how people ask you, well, how are you? And what do we always say? Just
right.
I'm fine. I'm good. But you really aren't, like I don't know if it's like a ego thing or something. It's like the norm to just say you're fine, because you don't want to place whatever you're going through out on someone else, or let them know or open up about that. And it's like, why? Like, why are we suppressing that in? Why are we not letting, I'm not doing really good this week? I mean, that's honest. That's the truth. That's being human. But, in society, we are just so equipped to like, oh, how you been? I've been good. Knowing in the back end, like, I've been in shambles, So it's like, I definitely like that.
And then the other thing is kind of the flip side of that is like, how much let me think about this for a second.
Okay. I was actually going to say something about for this scene. I was just thinking about it now, and I think for the grandma scene, for Jake, at least for the rest of the script or whatever, I'm pretty happy, like smiley, whatever. And then for this, it's just almost kind of like I'm caught off guard and almost like annoyed. Like, I think that this is probably one of the things about a relationship that like I've kind of also stayed away from, just because I remember it from my last relationship, like the different things like that. And I'm just like, maybe that's why I haven't been in a relationship in forever, because I don't want to waste time arguing or dealing emotions and stuff like that until I've really found somebody that I care about. And then this comes up and I'm like, oh my God, are you fucking kidding me? Like
Right in the
that.
beginning,
Yeah. And then I realized, I'm like, but no, like she is actually different. Like this is not just like, oh, it's another emotion or more emotions that I have to deal with and like whatever. It's just like I don't mind that if this is something like, and I got to learn how to talk about this because I haven't in a
Yes.
while. It's been a while
Yeah.
that I've actually had to deal with talking about stuff. So I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm willing to work on it and try with her because I want to.
I like that. Yeah.
So
Yeah, but you don't realize that in the moment.
no,
You
exactly.
don't.
Yeah. I'm
No,
just like
definitely
are
not.
you serious? Yeah.
Yeah.
When I'm calling you back a million times, that's when I realize I'm like, shit,
Right.
pick up,
Right.
please pick up. I need you to realize, or I realized something. Yeah.
And another kind of question to kind of keep in mind is when she flips out at you, what does that remind you of? And that's not necessarily, you can talk about it now if you have some ideas, but it might also just be like another thing to kind of have in mind.
Yeah.
And also, Ashley, for you, like, there's something about this guy that you like, because like you said, like you're not normally the kind of guy I date, but what is it about him that you do like, that has you keep coming back and that has you be willing to be that vulnerable? Maybe you don't like being vulnerable.
Right. That just popped in my head. But
Yeah.
I just wrote that vulnerability. Like she has a, an issue with showing that, So I just wrote that down.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I've been with my wife for 13, 14, 15 years now.
Wow.
And even still, sometimes I don't like being vulnerable with her in some ways,
It never ends.
like when we were last weekend with my uncle, sometimes I just prefer to just be quiet and, not communicate about it. Whereas she's like, what are you thinking? How are you feeling? And I'm sometimes just want to be like, no, I don't want to right now. Because it was right there. The emotions were so right there. And it was easier in some way to not shut down, but not be vulnerable. And that kind of thing, especially when you first meet somebody, is really hard. Because how do you know that person is going to take care of you? And that's
right
in that moment. That's the whole thing about this scene is, I know we're not really working on this scene right now, but we keep talking about it, is, yes, she flips out at him, but he doesn't take care of her. He takes it personally. Right. And that's kind of, and I think that's what he kind of realizes just at the end, when you're like, but if you want to,
yeah,
but that's just these are just good questions and good things to keep in mind. Like, Jacob, Jake has his serving and his music and like you said, like, maybe he'll find somebody during this time, but it's important to think about, like, how willing or how available is he compared to how available he makes himself seem like he is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because we all have ways that we present ourselves. And then, when things get serious, not just in relationships, but in all kinds of aspects, there's different parts of ourselves that kind of come through. So these are all just good things to kind of keep in mind. Let me just see here. Okay, Addie.
Yeah, I gotta hop
Thank
off.
you.
So sorry, I don't want to
Yeah,
interrupt. But I'll
no
see you
problem.
guys.
All right, see you later.
Bye.
Bye. She's so great. So these are just things to keep in mind, and I know we're having this kind of serious conversation, and most of this film is not serious, but it's always good to have this stuff in the background, I think.
Totally.
Because, conversations with people, interactions with people are never just one thing. They're never just happy. Even when you're having a happy conversation, sometimes a little sarcasm or a little cynicism comes through, or a little, fuck that guy, or, or whatever. Like we go through a range of emotions, and I want to make sure that comes through.
Okay.
And actually, one of the things that I think might be interesting to try with Sherry is, we'll work on scene one, and actually one of the things that might be interesting to try is, what if she's just like kind of in her own world?
Okay.
What if she's not real, like she says, like, I just want to have a conversation with somebody for more than 5 minutes. Like, she's clearly been on a few of these dates and they've just been total duds.
Right.
So what if she's just kind of like a little like, we'll see. Like, we'll see what this is.
I like that.
Like, I like how you, when you guys read it before, I like how you just kind of rattled off the things that you did, that you were doing during quarantine.
Rattled it off instead
rattled
of
them off. The way that you said it was just kind of like, I'm just like,
okay.
my hands every, like.
I didn't know, because I know, like, the last time we met, you said you wanted it to be like, we don't know, but I guess that's during the part when I say how long you think this is going to go on for. I could bring in that emotion for that, because I know you had said you wanted to, show that, like, this is different. You want to show that little side, like, this is, that emotion is like, what's going to happen? Like, we really don't know. So you're right. So maybe for like this rundown, like I did it before, even in like the audition, I just kind of ran through it. Like, I don't know, I'm doing this, and you know, like, so that is the initial take I did have on it. So I could bring that back. Yeah. Okay.
It's also, an interesting thing to kind of explore for yourself is, I think maybe Sherry is so used to serving someone else. Your whole job is, yeah, let me look that up. Sure, let me create that spreadsheet. Blah, 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 blah. Let me set up that meeting. That to have this date, which you're kind of trying to fit in, I wonder if how should I say it? Like, if she's really able to shut off her work mind and be on the date, like, I wonder if in scene one, you're still kind of
going back and forth, showing like different parts. Okay. Yeah, I like that. That gives a little bit more waves to the character and also to the scene. Okay.
So let's try scene one again.
Okay.
And let me look it over.
Is it cool if I run to the bathroom real quick?
Go ahead.
No.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, it is. So I think there's a few things going on with her. There's the distraction. There's we'll see with this guy, like, we'll see if he can kind of step up. And it's also, I think, important for you to think about, like, what is her relationship history? What is her dating history? You know, like
obviously she can't have a conversation with most with dating. You know,
yeah,
she's looking for someone because they bore her to the point to where it's like your conversation. I'm quick to get off the phone, you know, quick to end it. Cause she was like, at this point, I'm just looking for someone I can have a conversation with for longer than 5 minutes. So at this point, that's a real thing, because at this point shows that there's a lot of history that she's just been, you know, the dating history. Like
yeah,
at this point, look, I'm just looking for someone I can have a conversation with for longer than 5 minutes.
yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like kind of cynical, but still,
Yeah.
still doing this thing, but kind of
Yeah.
cynical about it. And then, you know, I don't know if I asked this earlier, but so I apologize if I did, but like, if he's not the kind of guy you usually go out with, who is the kind of guy that you usually go out with? You know, do you know, are they older, younger, more successful? Are they industry guys? Are they, you know, black, white, you know, Asian, short, tall? Like, all these kinds of things are interesting to keep in mind, you know. And for you, Jake, as well, like, what do you consider your type? You know, because I will tell you this, my wife is not my type. You know, she's not, you know, just in terms of like looks. Let's just talk about looks, okay?
Okay.
So looks wise, not my type. But at the time that I met her, I kind of was dating a little bit here and there, and decided that I was ready to meet a particular kind of person, somebody who had drive and strength, and who I knew was going to kind of challenge me. And that's what I found with Francesca. But looks wise, she's like really pale, redhead, just all kinds of things that weren't what I considered my type. My type was like smaller, you know, look like me. Like, that's what I considered my type, right? Somebody who looks like me. Um, but I couldn't. There was just something about her that kept drawing me to her, you know. And so, but even when we were together, even in the beginning, I was like, what is going on here? Like, this is weird. Like, she is not, and she's older. She's 7 years older than me. So that's another thing, is some of the girls that I would go out with, maybe they were my age, maybe they were younger, maybe they were a year older than me, but 7 years older than me, that was a big deal. So I'm going to pause to get some water, and I'll be right back.
Okay.
Where's everybody else? Yeah. You can have it later. Sorry. You know, it's really important to me in all movies, not just mine, that the characters that I'm watching, I feel like I'm just watching a part of their life. and that these are people that have existed before this film and had lives, really interesting, complicated lives before, and they will after. And sometimes movies don't have that, you know? I was thinking, this is totally a little kind of out there, but I was thinking about The Usual Suspects the other day. Have you guys seen the movie?
No.
Okay. So in The Usual Suspects, there's kind of a twist ending, and somebody who you thought wasn't the bad guy turns out to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
And I love the movie. It's a great movie. But I was thinking, like, what is this guy gonna do now? I mean, he's pulled this huge con on all these people, this big, huge, elaborate con, and fooled all these people, and now we know he's really this guy. Well, now what? Now that everybody knows you're the bad guy, what are you just gonna be bad? You know, like that. And so I was like, oh, it doesn't, like, not like I need to see a sequel, but I want to feel like I can see this character doing something else, you know, in their lives. That's kind of a weird example, but I think you get what I'm saying. So anyway, enough chibber chabber. Let's go to, oh wait, did we just get the you're running out of time thing again?
Yeah, 8 minutes.
I hate it so much. All right, let's just hang up and we'll call back and then we'll start up the scene.
All right.